Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. My name is Juliana Beretta, and today I'll be presenting how to be a successful online Unisa student. So some of the topics that I'll be discussing today are an overview of learning support at Unisa and in the Western Cape, understanding the myUnisa learning environment and introduction to MOOCs, navigating your study material, activating your myLife email account, and lastly, how to organize yourself with specific focus to organizing your time effectively and planning your studies. So, starting off with an overview of learning support at UNISA and in the Western Cape. The Counselling and Career Development Department provides support before, during, and after the completion of your UNISA studies. They also provide academic and personal guidance and counseling to prospective and registered students, which can be done in person, either individually or in groups, by telephone, email, letter, fax, or with printed material. The email for the Counseling and Career Development Department, as well as the other departments, will be found on the screen. The student administration services are available at the UNISA Cape Town campus with trained staff to assist you. The student administration services include curriculum advice, cancellations, and exam inquiries, while the financial services include refund assistance, financial inquiries, and transfers between accounts. Students will also have access to the self-help registration room on the campus. The facilitation of learning at the Cape Town campus includes a variety of different learning support to help students successfully complete their learning journey. The tutorial classes provided or provide students with support through face-to-face tutorials and multimedia learning resources. These classes are offered for a limited number of modules as identified by their colleges. Tutorial support is provided to assist students in understanding difficult concepts in their syllabi and their study material. Tutorial classes are provided for 15 hours per semester module and 30 hours per year modules. The schedule for the tutorial classes, their times, as well as where to enroll for a class can be found on the regional portal on myUnisa and are updated weekly. The Writing Center provides students with support in developing the academic reading and writing fluency, but focusing on academic assignments and reports, while the Numeracy Center supports and develops students in widening their understanding on numerical calculations, concepts, graphs, equations, fractions, decimals, and numbers. Both the Writing and the Numeracy Center offers academic development workshops and one-to-one consultations, where facilitators will guide students to read with greater understanding, analyze and understand assignments and exams, brainstorm and compile assignment outlines, obtain feedback on first and successive drafts of assignment answers, and assist in unpacking and understanding feedback from tutors and lectures. The Digital Learning Center includes computer literacy support on the following: what is myUnisa and myLife, how to claim your myUnisa login, how to access your myLife email account, and workshop skills on the above mentioned. The Cape Town Library offers the following services to all registered students: access to online and physical collections, access to online resources, catalog and literature searches, borrowing and returning books, library client training, queries, assistance for students with special needs, and lastly, partner library services. UNISA has partnered with some of the libraries across the Western Cape, and these partner libraries offer access to the library study space, availability of photocopy and printing facilities, UNISA postal study collections, courier services for book borrowing and returning services, as well as access to the internet and computers. To find out which libraries have partnered with UNISA, you can also visit the regional portal on the myUnisa website. For students with disabilities, UNISA has the ARCSWID department. Some of the support services that they offer to students is registering students with disabilities, producing study material in alternative formats, providing academic support interventions, providing sign language interpretation services, and providing orientation and mobility to visually impaired and partially sighted students. Also note that guide dogs are welcome on the campus. If you have a disability and would need to make use of any of these support services, you will have to let UNISA know, either by email on the email on screen, and you may also need to fill out forms when you declare your disability. These forms are for the following services: special exam arrangements, prescribed book request form, and special assistance form. You can download the forms using the link on the screen as well. Next, I'll be discussing the myUnisa learning environment as well as a brief introduction to MOOCs. On the screen, you'll see a screenshot of what the homepage of myUnisa should look like. You can access this myUnisa site either using the link on screen or by just typing in myUnisa into your browser. To the top right-hand corner, you'll see two links, the one for logging into your My Module site and the other one for logging into your student admin site. Below these two links, towards the middle of the page, is a shortcut link to your myLife email account. And at the bottom left, you'll see the Learner Support and Regions button. All of the services that I've mentioned earlier can be accessed using that Learner Support and Regions button. The My Modules tab that you saw earlier will log you into the site with all of your modules that you've registered for. Note that to log in, you'll need your myLife email account as well as your cell phone number for authentication purposes. Once logged in, you'll have a drop-down list under the My Modules tab. If you click on that, a list of your modules should appear. If you click on one of those modules, you'll be able to access your study material and coursework. On the left of the screen, I've included a screenshot of an example of what else you'll be able to access in the My Modules tab. More on that later though. Just as a brief side note, the My Modules site is also where you'll be accessing and uploading your assignments, so keep that in mind. The My Admin tab will log you into the site with all of your student admin tasks, like your biographical details, registration details, and the financial page, where you can also make online credit card payments. You'll only need your student number and password to log in here. The screenshot at the bottom also shows the different tabs in the My Admin link. Next, I'd like to discuss two useful apps to have on your smartphone. The first is the Unisa Student app, and the second is the Telegram app. But starting off with the Unisa Student app. The Unisa Student app can be downloaded from the App Store and is supported by both Android and iOS. On the screen, you'll see what the icon for this app would look like. There is also the My Modules app that you can download, but the My Modules app or the Moodle app will only have the modules that you've registered for, while the Unisa Student app has a much broader horizon of services that they have available. Some of these include keeping up to date with assignment deadlines under the Assessments tab, as well as accessing exam timetables. You can also keep up to date with any news. For example, the Inbox tab usually has notices on when the Unisa website will have any downtime. And the Finance tab will also allow you to pay for any student finances that you have left to pay for. Moving on to Telegram. So Telegram is very similar to WhatsApp and can also be downloaded in the App Store. Again, it's also supported by both Android and iOS. Each module has its own Telegram group where students can share tips on the module and help each other. There's also a whole host of extra books, past assignments, and past exams that you can access on the group's file tab, which is very useful for exam prep and assignment prep. Please just note that Telegram is not supported by Unisa, so if you have any issues with Telegram, you'll have to direct them to Telegram and not Unisa. The link to joining these Telegram groups can be accessed on the screen as well. And these Telegram groups, I would recommend you first download the app and then try to join a group. You'll just need the module code to join for the Telegram group. Then what are MOOCs? So MOOC stands for Massive Open Online Courses. All first-time and first-year Unisa students will be required to complete the Unisa first-year experience course. All students will also be required to complete the Unisa Academic Integrity course, which includes returning Unisa students. Both of these courses should take about 3 to 6 hours to complete each. And the Academic Integrity course will be needed to complete by the 30th of March. So that's by the end of this month, so quite soon. Then we'll talk about navigating your study material. So the most important tutorial letter that you will receive from Unisa for each module is the tutorial letter 101. It's important because it contains your curriculum information, the outcomes for the module, which you'll use to plan out your study schedule, but we'll talk more about that later. It will also tell you what your prescribed textbook is. Please note that if you do need one, Unisa does not provide you with this textbook, so you'll have to purchase it yourself using the approved retailers, for example, Van Schaik bookstores. It will also contain your study plan, your assessment plan, assignment information, and your exam information. You'll likely also get a study guide which complements the prescribed book, contains additional activities and notes as well as summaries, and then your assignments and answers to these assignments. All of these study material will be accessed under the additional resources tab on the My Modules site on myUnisa. Sometimes the tutorial letter and the study guides are under the official study material tab, but it will be under one of those two. You'll also upload your assignments using the assessment 1 and assessment 2 tabs, or however many assessments you have. Then, how to access your myLife email account. You'll start by going to the home page of myUnisa. Underneath the My Modules and My Admin tabs, you'll see the link that says Claim UNISA Login. Click on that link. Just make sure that you have your student number and cell phone with you, as you'll need these to claim your login. Once you've clicked on the link, you can just follow the on-screen prompts. Just note that it can take up to 48 hours to access your email after you've claimed your login. So don't stress if you can't immediately access your email. It might take about 2 days before you can. And then how to organize yourself. One of the most important skills any Unisian will need is time management skills. The types of planning that you'll need to do are long-term, short-term, and daily planning. The basic objective of long-term planning is to gain an overview of the academic activities over the whole semester or year, just to make sure that you keep track of all the important dates like assignment deadlines, preparing for exams, and writing your exams. You should use a diary or a yearly planner for long-term planning. It's also helpful to have a monthly calendar up somewhere on your wall that you can look at each day, just to remind yourself about what's due and when. Short-term planning is something you do weekly and daily. It helps you to work out how much study time you have at your disposal for each day. And then daily planning helps you decide how you're going to use each day's time. The benefits of daily planning is that you'll have definite objectives to pursue each day. On the left-hand side of the screen, I've included an example of a daily schedule. Has any student or anyone here ever used a planner like this before? You can just leave a comment in the chat function, or you can use one of the reactions with a thumbs up or a heart or something. We will read through those a bit later. Then myUnisa also has some extra tips on how to prevent procrastinating and other useful time management tips. You can access these on the myUnisa support and career counseling development. The blue tabs are at the bottom of the screen that you can just follow if you want to access those. Then planning your studies. You'll start by creating a realistic study schedule. You can't expect to study 5 chapters in one day, and it would be impossible to stick to such a difficult schedule. It's pointless setting up a study schedule if you're not going to use it. So your next step is to stick to your study schedule. Then I'd also recommend you set up a designated study space, preferably a proper desk area with enough light. It doesn't have to be something fancy. I'd also recommend that you have a set spot for your study material, like your textbooks and your study guides. Otherwise, you'll end up leaving them all over the place and losing them. So make sure they have a designated spot to stay. You also need to know what to study and by when for each module. So to do that, you'll take the outcomes found in your tutorial letter 101 and divide them into the number of weeks you have to study. Remember to leave enough time to revise before exams. So include that in your calculation when you start doing your planning. And then lastly, allow yourself some flexibility, as unforeseen circumstances can befall anyone, and you don't want to be left without enough time to study. And remember to take a break and relax. On the screen, I've included the link to the first year experience at Unisa, as well as just the drop-down lists on how to get them. This link will have extra advice, any information or extra help that you might need as a first year student. And then to contact the Counselling and Career Development Department, you can just access the emails or the links on the screen as well. Thank you for listening and enjoy your studying journey. I'll hand back to Chantal.
Hi there. Thanks so much, Jordan, for the well-structured presentation today. I also just want to check with our students. If you have any questions, I didn't see anything in the comments. I saw one comment say, if you don't yet have a laptop or computer for activity 3 and 4 on the first year experience, will it be a problem if I don't attend the activities yet? Juliana, do you know what the student is referring to? The first year experience, activities 3 and 4.
I'm actually not sure what that is. I only know about the MOOCs for the first year students. Trying to go back to that. I know for the MOOCs they recommend a laptop because it's a very slow site. So I'm not sure if the activities would also need that as well.
Okay. How do we join? The student asking, how do we join the groups? So for students, if you sign the attendance register, you are able to then, you will get, the student mentor will make contact with you to find out if you need further mentoring. So just make sure that you sign the register. I'm going to put it in the chat function again. And then I've also just included a 12-step guide to success at Unisa to make sure that you've just ticked all the right boxes and ensure that you're on track with planning and getting organized with your studies. I'm also wondering, so the students say we are advised to attend to Unit 2 and 3 of the first year experience with a laptop and cell phone won't be able to display the same. Okay, so advisable to join on a laptop or computer. Okay, because the display and I assume the functionality will be different. Then I'm also wondering if we have second year students perhaps in the group, what type of support do you need and were your expectations met today? You can also just raise your hands and then I can also unmute your mic so that you can speak. Someone is asking, when is the FYE, the first year experience, due? Is there a due date for the first year experience? I see there's someone's hands up. Lucanio, I'm going to unmute you now. You are unmuted. You're welcome to go ahead.
Yes, no, I'm a second year student for law diploma. What I want to raise up is that, yeah, it's my second year, but hey, I thought with experience it's gonna get better, but hey, it's becoming more difficult to cram the knowledge from the study guide and from the textbook. So I heard that we need to make a planning on, okay, for this time I'm gonna study this for this period. Tomorrow I study this on this date. Then we need to stick to it. But yeah, it's difficult to stick with the plan. I think maybe that's my problem. I just need to find a way of sticking to the plan.
Okay. Also, you know, some days are different to others, and some days you have more energy than others. So your plan is also just your guide for self measurement. If you do miss a day, then you know you need to catch up the next day, the amount of work that you need to catch up. So it is very difficult to stick to a study plan, particularly when we're referring to consistency. Consistency at Unisa is very important. If you make a commitment, also you need to have a realistic plan in place. So if you're telling yourself, given if I have energy every day, I'll be studying 7 days a week. But if I don't have energy every day, realistically, what would be possible? 4 days a week, maybe, and then rather plan around that realistic plan of rather 4 days a week rather than pushing yourself to 7. If you do have energy for beyond 4 days a week, the additional time you can spend doing your assignments, additional reading, and everything else that needs to be done. So someone is saying the FYE closed. Oh, no, I need to go up. First your experience closed at 11:30 on the 5th of March. Okay, there's a long message about academic integrity.
That's the second course on the MOOCs.
Due the 30th of March. Okay. All right. Someone is asking, how do you access the discussion forums for students? A lot of the modules, the study material state you must discuss the topics with your peers in the forum, but the student can't find the forum.
If I remember correctly, you access that on the My Module site. Oh, it's usually under announcements. Then they normally also have a discussion forum there as well. I can try and see.
Okay, I see that the, I don't know if my internet is failing, but if you Google discussion forum on myUnisa, then it opens up. Let me just put this link in the chat function. Can't find the integrity course, looking for it, don't know what to do.
It should be on the link. I can add it.
In the chat function.
Yeah. Just check that it is working.
So another student saying also, if you, yes, on get them the Unisa. Sorry.
Yeah, so the My Module app does also have the forums for each module as well.
Sorry. I've put the forums in the chat function. Okay.
With regards to the integrity course, I haven't done it myself yet, but I've heard on the Telegram group some of the kids saying that that site is incredibly slow. So though the course itself should only take, they say, 4 hours, it can take an entire day because the site is just very slow. So it could be that the site, because even now trying to load it, it's taking very long to load.
That's on the MOOC site, I see.
Yeah.
Academic
So
integrity.
I'll add the MOOC link here, but it is very slow.
Academic integrity. Forum chats indicated on my modules under each module. Okay. All right. I think we've managed to respond to all the chat activity. Is there anyone else who would like to raise their hands with a specific question or concern? Perhaps not first year, perhaps second year. Let me also just give me a second, Juliana. I would just want to share the meeting info. Just give me 1 second. Okay. Okay, I think, hi.
Hi, Chantal. Thank you. There's more than 100 students waiting in the different Nomfundo did share this link, so let me also share it.
All right.
Copy link. Let me just put it there.
All right, we're back. So we have, let me just check the chat function again. Someone's hand is raised. Is that a historical hand? So we've got students joining us now. We're just going to give it a few minutes because there's a whole lot of students that are joining now that were in the wrong online space. It seems the wrong link was attached. Okay, so quite a lot of students are joining us now. I want to give those students who have already seen the presentation, you have the option to leave. But for the students who have just joined, Juliana, I'm going to ask you to start your presentation again so that the students who have just joined us also receive the information and support needed. Okay, is that okay, Juliana?
It's fine. Should I just wait a bit for them to finish joining?
Yeah, I see some more joining. So let's just give them 2 minutes. We'll just slowly start with the introductions again. So I'd like to welcome those students. Sorry, you were in the wrong, the online space. It seems the incorrect links were sent. So I'd like to welcome you to today's session hosted by Counselling and Career Development. And we have one of our student mentors, Mrs. Juliana Beretta, who will be presenting today. Our student mentor program is a volunteer program where we have final year and postgrad students mentoring first and second years in order to provide them the support they need to achieve academic success. So you will notice that your camera and mics are disabled through the session, but you can use the chat function. At the end of the session, we will enable all mics and cameras, and we're able to present our questions, concerns, challenges, and have a more lively interaction at the end. Okay. Okay. Sorry. Okay, I'm still here. All right. So, Juliana, I'm going to hand over back to you. I'm going to turn off my mic and camera, and you can go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I just want to share my screen again quickly. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, so we're seeing that. There we go.
Okay, I'll start again. Good afternoon, everyone. And again, for those who were here earlier, my name is Juliana Beretta, and today I'll be presenting how to be a successful online Unisa student. Some of the topics that I'll be discussing today are an overview of learning support at Unisa and in the Western Cape, understanding the myUnisa learning environment and introduction to MOOCs, navigating your study material, activating your myLife account, and lastly, how to organize yourself with specific focus to organizing your time effectively and planning your studies. Starting off with an overview of learning support at Unisa and in the Western Cape. The Counselling and Career Development Department provides support before, during, and after the completion of your Unisa studies. They also provide academic and personal guidance and counseling to prospective and registered students, which can be done in person, either individually or in groups, by telephone, email, letter, fax, or with printed material. The email for the Counseling and Career Development Department, as well as the other departments, will be found on the screen. The student administration services are available at the Unisa Cape Town campus with trained staff to assist you. The student administration services include curriculum advice, cancellations, and exam inquiries, while the finance services include refund assistance, financial inquiries, and transfers between accounts. Students also will have access to the self-help registration room on the campus. The facilitation of learning at the Cape Town campus includes a variety of different learning support to help students successfully complete their learning journey. The tutorial classes provide student support through face-to-face tutorials and multimedia learning resources. These classes are offered for a limited number of modules as identified by their colleges. Tutorial support is provided to assist students in understanding difficult concepts in the syllabi and their study material. Tutorial classes are provided for 15 hours per semester modules and 30 hours per year modules. The schedule for the tutorial classes, their times, as well as where to enroll for a class can be found on the regional portal and are updated weekly. The Writing Center provides students with support in developing the academic reading and writing fluency, but focusing on academic assignments and reports, while the Numeracy Center supports and develops students in widening their understanding on numerical calculations, concepts, graphs, equations, fractions, decimals, and numbers. Both the Writing and the Numeracy Center offers academic development workshops and one-to-one consultations where facilitators will guide students to read with greater understanding, analyze and understand assignments and exam questions, brainstorm and compile assignment outlines, obtain feedback on first and successive drafts of assignment answers, assist in unpacking and understanding feedback from tutors and lectures. The Digital Learning Center includes computer literacy support on the following: what is myUnisa and myLife, how to claim your myUnisa login, how to access your myLife email account, and workshop skills on the above mentioned. The Cape Town Library Service offers the following services to all registered students: access to online and physical collections, access to online resources, catalog and literature searches, borrowing and returning books, library client training, queries, assistance for students with special needs, and lastly, partner library services. UNISA has partnered with some of the libraries across the Western Cape. These partner libraries offer access to the library study space, availability of photocopy and printing facilities, UNISA postal study collections, courier services for borrowing and returning books, as well as access to the internet and computers. To find out which libraries have partnered with UNISA, you can visit the regional portal on the myUnisa website. For students with disabilities, UNISA has the ARCSWID department. Some of the support that they offer to students is registering students with disabilities, producing study material in alternative formats, providing academic support interventions, providing sign language interpretation services, and providing orientation and mobility to visually impaired and partially sighted students. Also note that guide dogs are welcomed on the campus. If you have a disability and would need to make use of any of these support services, you will need to let UNISA know. You can do that either by emailing them on the screen above. You may also need to fill out forms when you declare your disability, which is for the following services: special exam arrangements, prescribed book request form, and special assistance form. These forms can be found on myUnisa, or you can use the link on the screen. Next, I'll discuss the myUnisa learning environment as well as a brief introduction to MOOCs. On the screen, you'll see a screenshot of what the homepage of myUnisa should look like. You can access the myUnisa website by using the link on the screen, or you can just type in myUnisa into your browser. To the top right-hand corner, you'll see two links, one for logging into your myModule site and the other one for logging into your student admin site. Below these two links, toward the middle of the page, is a shortcut link to your myLife email account, and at the bottom left, you see the Learner Support and Regions button. All of the support services that I mentioned earlier can be accessed on the Learner Support and Regions button. The My Modules tab that you saw earlier will log you into the site with all of the modules that you've registered for. Note that to log in, you'll need your myLife email as well as your cell phone number. This is just for authentication purposes. Once logged in, you'll have a drop-down list under the My Modules tab. If you click on that list, a list of the modules that you've registered for should appear. If you click on one of those modules, you'll be able to access your study material and coursework. On the left of the screen, I've included a screenshot of an example of what else you'll be able to access under the My Modules tab. This is also where you'll upload your assignments and gain access to the assignment answers when they become available. The My Admin tab will log you into the site with all of your student admin tasks, things like your biographical details, registration details, and the financial page, where you can also make online credit card payments. You'll only need your student number and password to log in here. The screenshot at the bottom shows the different tabs that is available in the My Admin tab as well. Next, I'd like to discuss two useful apps to have on your smartphone, the UNISA Student app and Telegram. But starting off with the UNISA Student app. This UNISA Student app can be downloaded from the App Store and is supported by both Android and iOS. On the screen, you'll see what the icon for the app should look like. Just note that there are more than one. I know there's also the My Modules app that you can download, but the My Modules app only has the modules that you've registered for, while the UNISA Student app has a much broader horizon of service offerings. Things like keeping up to date with your assignment deadlines, checking the exam timetable, keeping up to date with any news. For example, the inbox tab that I've selected here on the screen often tells you about any downtime on the My Modules or the myUnisa website. You can also use the Finance tab to pay for any study fees that you have outstanding. Moving on to Telegram. Telegram is very similar to WhatsApp and can also be downloaded from the App Store. It's again also supported by both Android and iOS. Each module has its own Telegram group where students can share tips on the module and help each other. There's also a whole host of extra books, assignments, textbooks, and exams that you can access on these groups, which is very useful for exam and assignment prep. Please just note that Telegram is not supported by Unisa, so any issues that you face must be directed to Telegram and not Unisa. To join any of the groups or Telegram groups, you can use the link on the screen, and you can also, you'll just need to type in your module code and then click enter. It should pop up once you've clicked on that. Moving on to MOOCs. So MOOC stands for Massive Open Online Courses. All first year and first time Unisa students will be required to complete both of these courses. The first one is the Unisa First Year Experience course, and the second one is the Unisa Academic Integrity course. They should both take between 3 to 6 hours to complete each. And the Academic Integrity course must be completed by the 30th of March. I mentioned it earlier, but just as a side note, the Academic Integrity course, they say should take 4 hours, but the site itself is incredibly slow. So just please don't wait until the 30th of March to complete it. Try and do it as soon as possible. Next, I'd like to briefly talk about navigating your study material. The most important tutorial letter that you will receive from Unisa is the Tutorial Letter 101. Each module will have its own Tutorial Letter 101, so don't use the same one for each module. The Tutorial Letter 101 contains your curriculum information, the outcomes for the module, which you'll use to plan out your study schedule, but more on that later. The prescribed textbook if you need one. Please note that Unisa does not provide you with the prescribed textbook, and you'll need to purchase it yourself through approved retailers, for example, Van Schaick bookstores. The tutorial letter will also contain your study plan, your assessment plan, assignment information, and the exam information. You'll likely also get a study guide which complements the prescribed textbook and has additional activities and notes as well as summaries. And then lastly, your assignment and answers to assignments. All of these that I've mentioned can be accessed either under the official study materials tab that you'll see on the right-hand side of the screen, or under the additional resources tab. In some cases, your assignments or assessments will be under the assessment 1 or assessment 2 tabs. It does differ from module to module, but it should be there. Then how to activate your myLife email account. You'll start by going to the home page of myUnisa, and then underneath the My Modules and My Admin tabs, you'll see a link that says Claim Unisa Login. Click on that link. Make sure that you have your student number and cell phone with you, as you'll need both of these to claim your login. Once you've clicked on the link, you can follow the on-screen prompts. Please note that it can take up to 48 hours to access your email after you've claimed your login. So please don't stress if you can't access it immediately after you've claimed it. Then how to organize yourself. One of the most important skills that a Unisian will need is time management skills. The types of planning that you'll need to do are long-term, short-term, and daily planning. Starting off with long-term planning. So the basic objective of long-term planning is to gain an overview of the academic activities over the whole semester or year, just to make sure that you keep track of all the important dates, like assignment, due dates, preparing for exams, and writing your exams. You should use a diary or a yearly planner for long-term planning. And it's also helpful to have a monthly calendar up somewhere where you pass each day just to keep track of what's due and when. Short-term planning is something you do weekly and daily. It helps you to work out how much study time you have at your disposal. Then daily planning helps you to decide what you're going to use each day's time for. The benefits of daily planning is that you'll have definite objectives to pursue each day. On the left of the screen, I've included an example of a daily schedule. Has anyone here ever used a daily schedule before? You can either comment it in the chat function, or you can just use one of the react buttons like a thumbs up or a heart if you have. I'll go through them after the presentation. Then myUnisa also has some extra tips on how to prevent procrastination, how to manage your time effectively, and a lot of other very useful time management skills documents. They are in PDF format. You can download some of them and have them print out for you to use. You can use the on-screen links that I've shown here at the bottom on where to access it on the myUnisa site. Then planning your studies. Start by creating a realistic study schedule. You can't expect to study 5 chapters in one day, and it would be impossible to stick to such a difficult schedule. It's also pointless to stick to a difficult schedule, so try to make it as realistic as possible. Then, if you've set up your study schedule, you need to stick to your study schedule. Otherwise, there's no point in setting one up. Then you also need to set up a designated study space, preferably a proper desk area with enough light. It doesn't have to be fancy. You would also like to keep a designated area for your textbooks and study guides and whatnot. Otherwise, if you have them strewn across different rooms, you'll just end up losing everything. And then you also need to know what to study and when. So, as I mentioned earlier, the tutorial letter 101 has your outcomes for the module. So what you'll do, you'll take those outcomes and you'll divide it into the number of weeks you have to study for the semester or for the year. Remember to leave enough time to revise before the exams. So you should include that into your study schedule or into your calculation. And lastly, allow yourself some flexibility. Remember that although you want to study and stick to your study schedule, it should also be flexible. So if something comes up, you have time to catch up on your study schedule and you're not stressed about catching up. To make sure that your study schedule is flexible. And then lastly, remember to take a break and relax. On the screen is the first year experience UNISA link. It's just has some extra advice and tips and other additional resources that first year and returning students maybe might find very useful, like time management skills that I mentioned earlier. And then if you need to contact the Career Development and Counselling Department, their email is on screen along with the link, as well as Chantal's email as well. Thank you for listening and enjoy your UNISA studying journey. I'll hand back to Chantal.
Thank you so much, Juliana, for being willing to present again to our students today. It seems like there's been lots of chats on the chat function. I know someone was crying because they missed the due date for the FYE. So let us just clarify, the FYE that is due today, is that compulsory?
To my understanding, for first year students, it is compulsory, but I'm not sure what the consequences would be for not doing it.
Is there a FYE? I'm sure there is a FYE email address that they can contact.
Oof.
Let's check. Let me go to my email. I'm sure it would just be like FYE at Unisa. Yes, it is. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to recommend the student email the FYE unit if you've missed the deadline. That's it. And you'll need to negotiate with them in terms of extending the deadline date and assisting you to successfully complete the FYE. And then some of the comments were related to either having or not having a weekly day or daily planner. And perhaps they've now understanding the importance of it. If we look at the calendar today, we are already in March. So you've got about 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, let's say 8 weeks until exams. The exam period starts. So you'll need to check your exam dates. Exams spreads across May, June, with the second semester registration starting in July. So if you look at your total number of study units, you need to check all of your modules, check the study units, divide that by 8, because it's 8 weeks until exams, and that will tell you the number of study units you need to cover per week. If you divide that by the number of days you study, let's say, for example, you only study 5 days a week, divide that number of study units per week by 5, because you study for 5 days, and that will give you an indication of the number of study units you need to cover per day. One student is asking, hi guys, what do I do if my course don't have study material? So usually in your tutorial letter, it will indicate whether you need to buy a prescribed book, and if not, it will tell you you will only use the study guide for the module or the tutorial letter, or they will give you recommended readings. So the first, the most important, the starting point would be to read your tutorial letters very carefully to get an understanding of the nature of the course, whether it's going to be an online exam or continuous assessment, and then also to understand if you need a prescribed book and which book you need to purchase, and if not, what study material you need to use. If it's an online module, all of the reading is online. So you'll just be interactive and engage and respond to discussions and questions online so they can track your activity. Okay. Someone is asking, what is FYE? So FYE is a first year experience, and they are, as I'm understanding, videos and activities you need to respond to. It's for first year students. So it's the first year experience program that's in place, and first years need to complete this program in order to remain successfully registered with Unisa. That's what I understand. Someone is saying, I'm a first year student and I don't know where to start. Okay, so there's another one that's agreeing first year and don't know where to start. Another one that's saying, what is FYE? I'm new here. Okay, so Juliana, also those students that are saying I'm new here and I don't know where to start, just make sure you sign the attendance register so that Juliana has your contact details. She will then contact all the students who've attended today's session to find out if you need further mentoring and support. So she will then create a group space outside of the official online this mentoring space, and then she will negotiate with you in terms of dates and times that you can meet online in order to receive additional support so that we can just help you find your feet. Okay. This recording will be emailed to you, so just make sure that you sign the attendance register. So there's one FYE that was due today at 11:30 and another one is due the 30th of March.
The first year experience one is the one that's due, I think, today. The academic integrity is the one that's due at the end of the month.
30th. Okay, so that's the academic integrity due the 30th of March. Would I need to do the FYE if I'm a returning student for a second degree?
I'm actually not sure. I don't think so, because when I changed over, I didn't have to, but it might
You only
be
do it
different
once.
now. Yeah.
Please, can you repeat how the calculation is done? So you look at all of your modules and you look at the study units that you need to complete for each module. You add your total study units across all of the modules you registered for and divide that total by 8. Because we're understanding we have 8 weeks until exams. That will give you an indication of the study units you need to cover per week. If you divide that number of study units per week by the number of days you study, that will give you an indication of the number of study units you need to cover per day. Students saying, I need help to get my study materials was delivered in the wrong area. In Umtata, and I'm in Cape Town, in Delft. Keeps on telling me to collect it in Umtata. So study material, there is a contact number for study material. Or not, it was study material. It's study material. And you can also download your study material online while you are waiting for the hard copies. I just need to get the contact details of the courier company. Give me a second. Let me respond to the other questions while I am. Who should I contact? Okay, so there's some people experiencing problems with study material. Difficulty with Telegram in terms of receiving an OTP. Juliana, do you have any knowledge of Telegram and receiving OTP?
If I know that if you had Telegram on a different number and you don't have access to that number anymore, you are going to struggle with this. I've heard a couple of students struggling with this. You'll have to just contact Telegram itself. You can't contact Unisa for that. You could possibly get I don't know if you're using the same number or if you're using a different number though. If you're using the same number, you'll have to just email or contact Telegram with this issue. As far as I know, it is difficult though. If you've got a new number, then you shouldn't have an issue. Although they might be emailing the OTP as well, not just SMSing it.
One student saying, I don't have Telegram. Is there no other way of communication? So Telegram students use for additional support. It's not an official Unisa platform. It's an external platform. So I know that I understand students use it. They share notes or they share readings, or they share the PDFs of the study material. So it's an additional resource. It's not compulsory, but I know that students do find it quite beneficial. So those who missed the first year, the FYE due date today, I put the FYE email address. It's fye@unisa.ac.za. Email them to see if you can negotiate, if they will allow you to submit them beyond the due date. If you miss a class meeting, so if it's a lecture class for online support, you would email your lecturer if it's the lecturer that's providing the online class. One student is saying that academic integrity is not showing under my courses. How do I access it? So that, go ahead.
The MOOC site is where you access that. I can send the link again.
Yeah.
It is just very slow.
So we only have, UNISA has 2 offices, one in Cape Town and one in George. That's the 2 physical offices that we have. As far as I know, we don't have one in Paarl. So if you need an access card, you'll need to make your way either to the Cape Town campus in Paddo or George. Sam found out that I have a test on the whole textbook in 2 weeks. So is it the assessment? Just check your assessments. As far as I understand, assessments are due in 2 weeks. Assessments wouldn't require you to know the whole textbooks, because assessments is only assessing your activity and a certain section of the coursework. So when you're looking, you can check your deadline dates for each module to make sure that you've got a planner and you've noted all your deadline dates. And then you start working through your assessments. Once you're looking at the questions of the assessments, you'll need to then compare it to the study material to get a sense of how much work you're needing to cover for the assessment. I think everyone now is very much focused on actively submitting assessments. So which makes it very difficult to balance your time with actively making study notes and actively submitting assessments. So I think for now, it's okay to assume that for the next 2 or 3 weeks, your focus is on getting all your assessments done and submitted in time. Just make sure you've got the deadline dates right and submitted before the deadline date. You know that the foot traffic on the myUnisa site gets overflooded and then the site crashes. So don't submit. If the deadline date is today at 12, don't submit today at 12. You can almost be guaranteed the site will be crashing or giving some kind of problem. So try to submit before the deadline date as much as possible. Someone saying, I don't know how to use the myLife email. Can I email from personal email address? So if you're a registered student, UNISA will only communicate with you via your myLife email. So I'm also going to recommend, and once you've claimed, you also need to check it, you've claimed your myLife in order for it to be active. The only other issue you would have would be to your login details. How do I access my myLife email? So as I understand, Juliana, you need to claim your login details in order to activate your myLife, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So let's then put in the chat function, and you do cover it in your presentation as well.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so let's also just put in the link in the chat function, the claim UNISA login. So when you claim your UNISA login, you need to wait 48 hours for it to activate and pull through your student data. myLife login. And so only after 48 hours, you'll be able to log in, and then your myLife will be activated. Some students are saying they're struggling to study online. There's a lot of things to look for. And can I get a link of the integrity course that's due the 30th March, since I'm struggling to find it? Okay. Juliana, I think from this session, what we're getting is that there's a lot of students that are still lost. And Juliana is going to be in contact with you to set up further sessions to show you. And perhaps you must all be logged on in front of your computer, and she can show you click here to claim your login, to access your myLife, to show you the integrity, to show you where's the FYE. And perhaps that is going to be the best route going forward. because also we also in the chat function, I understand we're also just sending more links, and perhaps the student is not understanding the bigger picture. Where does the one link fit in with the other? So that would be my recommendation.
Someone asked if we can resend the I'm trying to find it now. Where they say that the attendance register.
Attendance. Someone is also asking, I downloaded Telegram, not sure how to communicate or get in contact with others. So my understanding is when you're on Telegram, you use the search function and type in your module code, right?
You have to type it into the browser. So on the link that I had
Browser.
on, you need to access it there and then click on that. So it's not in. There is a search function in Telegram that you can use, but you have to already be joined in for Telegram
Oh, okay.
for that to work.
Yes, I'm putting the attendance register again in the chat function. Those that want further mentoring, Juliana will make herself available to support you. We also have other mentors. So in case, depending on the size of the group that needs mentoring, we might split you up into 2 or 3 smaller groups. So the student is saying she's lonely. There's nobody helping her at home. The way she's panicking and thinking of deregistering. So there's definitely a need for mentoring, Juliana, for further mentoring beyond today. And so the recommendation would be just to create a little agenda of navigating the myLife, navigating, claiming your login, and then also once they're on the My Module site, where to click to get the tutorials, to how to understand, to read the tutorial letters, to check if they need prescribed books, to have a look at how many study units they have. So we'll need to set that up, I think, by next week. We are already on Wednesday. Okay, so what I'll do is Juliana will be in communication with you, with the students who sign up for mentoring, and then we'll come up with a program for hopefully next week where you can log on and she can assist you with navigating, showing you how to navigate the online spaces. Okay.
I'll send the Telegram link quickly.
Okay. Then one student saying, apparently my life email has been claimed already. So now I need to know how to use the function. Okay. So lots of support needed with myLife, my modules, the FYE. I just got an email from Unisa saying I must capture my own banking details. I won't know if it is not a scammer. So Unisa doesn't charge you for anything. We don't charge you for classes, for online classes. Once you've paid your registration fee, you're done. We will not ask you to capture banking details. We also don't ask you to pay for any additional services. Any services that we do provide is free of charge. So I would also be very concerned if I got an email to say you must capture your banking details. It doesn't sound legitimate to me. Because if you've paid your registration fee, you activated, your statement of accounts will go to your myLife. If money is owed, they will email your myLife account. Okay, all right. So the My modules do not have prescribed books. How do I work on them? Because I feel like they need some additional information besides the lessons that we read. Okay. Okay. Juliana, did you just create a group now?
No, I haven't yet.
Someone's
I
asking,
just
is
said,
this Telegram?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
you're
the
responding to a
Telegram.
question. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I think we're going to, someone's struggling to log into myLife. If you have login issues, you forgot your password, forgot your username, struggling to log in. You've already claimed, but you're struggling to log in. You email CTN TAT. I'm putting the details in the chat function. But if you don't know how to claim or you don't know how to use the online spaces, then Juliana's going to schedule another session with all of you. Okay. It's not a scam. Most registered students got the email, including myself. So if it's an email, remember also to check the validity of the email. Unisa's email will also always be something at unisa.ac.za. That is our official. Yes, so the recording will be made available As long as you've signed the register, we have access to your details. We can share the recording and we can also offer you further mentoring. Okay. So I think we're going to end off the program for today there. I think from today's discussion and just going through the chat function, we understand how we need to further support you. And Juliana will, and I will have a chat and we will put a program in place and hopefully we can offer you further support as early as next week. Okay. Juliana, do you have any last words for our students today?
Just for those that are feeling a bit overwhelmed, maybe just sign the attendance register, and then when we make a group, preferably by next week, we can discuss any issues that they have, but also try and think about any other issues they might want to talk about when I set up the meeting with them, so they know exactly what issues they're struggling with or what it is that they're not sure about.
So the attendance register, the link has been posted, reposted a number of times. I'm going to repost it for the last time. Okay, and then just make sure you sign. We also have the Teams register, but it's just a bit difficult a bit more challenging to extract the information. It's easier when you sign our register. Your library card, you only use one access card to access all the facilities when you visit a regional campus. So there's no separate card. You only have one card and you can use that card to swipe into any department. Okay. All right, I think we're going to end of the program there. Thank you so much, Juliana, for presenting and then presenting again. And thank you for our students through all the frustration and the links and the online spaces we've managed to find ourselves. And I think that is the lesson that Unisa also teaches us, is to be persistent and to keep asking until we get the response that we're looking for. So I'm glad that we all managed to connect with each other today. But thank you so much for your patience and for being with us. There is definitely a need for you to be with us today. So I'm glad that we could get to you and develop a plan to support you so that we can assist you to achieve academic success. Okay, so thank you everyone for attending. And with that, I'm going to close the program for today.